the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
General Manager Ryan Poles opened the door wide open at this unexpected position. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Happy Monday to every single one of you Bears fans out there. I have a pretty interesting topic of discussion on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, and we've had this conversation before in regard to when Ben Johnson was named the new Chicago Bears head coach earlier this offseason. One thing was very clear, that change was going to happen. People were going to have to earn their spots on this roster, and that is one thing that him and Ryan Poles definitely have in common, that there was going to be healthy competition all across this roster. At the end of the day, we know at certain spots who's going to be starting where. Also, we know Caleb Williams will be the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears. We know that DJ Moore and Rome Odunze will be the Chicago Bears' top two receivers. We even know on defense that Montez Sweat will be the top edge rusher on the Chicago Bears defense. But there are certain spots on the Chicago Bears roster where there's going to be a lot of healthy competition. One of those areas on the roster is the Chicago Bears offensive line. And Ryan Poles made it very clear that there's going to be a healthy competition at the left tackle spot. And of course, you have Braxton Jones coming back from injury. You have Karan Amagaji coming into year two fully healthy, right? We all understand that Amagaji was not healthy when the Chicago Bears drafted him. So now he's coming in a full offseason healthier. So that's going to be fun to watch him at left tackle this summer. And then, of course, you have newly drafted tackle Audrey Trapillo that will also be competing at the left tackle spot. But here is where things get interesting. If you guys saw the newest episode of the 1920 Football Drive, which is a little series that the Chicago Bears post on YouTube of just giving us a background and detail of what the Chicago Bears are thinking in terms of offseason moves, and obviously the last episode we're talking about the NFL draft, Ryan Poles said something in that video that kind of opened my attention, and I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. It seems that Audrey Trapillo will not only compete at left tackle, he mentioned that he could possibly be a starter at the right tackle spot as well. Check this out, Bears fans.
And we just knew that he was dependable, he was smart, he was tough, someone that's going to compete for a starting tackle job, regardless if it's the right or the left.
All right, Bears fans, you guys heard Ryan Poles loud and clear in that little clip that I showed you on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. He clearly said that Audrey Trapillo is a guy that is very smart, a guy that he can see competing regardless if it's left tackle or right tackle. Bears fans, I'll be honest with you guys on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. Darnell Wright was one of the Chicago Bears' best blockers last year, and I am expecting a massive jump from Wright this season at the right tackle spot. But it does give that notion, once again, going back to the vision and the culture that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are trying to create, that nobody's job is safe. Everyone is going to have to compete, and there's going to be a healthy level of competition. This is something that Ryan Poles has been trying to accomplish since 2022 when he became the Chicago Bears general manager. He wanted to create competition all across the roster. It doesn't matter if you are quarterback Caleb Williams, you better come out and compete at a high level, and he is putting everyone on notice. Obviously, we heard scenarios before of the Chicago Bears, meaning Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, sending clear messages to DJ Moore and Cole Kmet and Javon Dexter. It's like, hey, you better step up or your spot will be taken. This is the message that they are just trying to preach along the roster. And to me, I have no problem with that. Does that mean that Audrey Trapillo will end up being the starting right tackle on this offensive line? No, absolutely not. But I think it's just going to set an expectation from everyone that's currently a starter to, you better be ready for training camp. You better be ready at these mandatory mini camps, because you have hungry young guys like Audrey Trapillo that understand the same situation that they're coming into, that, hey, everyone's got to compete at a high level if they want to start or even play on this football team. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think it's going to be a healthy competition. I do think at the end of the day, Darnell Wright is safe. He's going to come out and show out. We're going to see a massive jump from Darnell Wright under new head coach Ben Johnson, and he will be the starting right tackle. But it's definitely something interesting that I caught while watching 1920 Football Drive's last episode, on where Ryan Poles clearly said that he can see Aji Shapiro starting at either left or right tackle. So Bears fans, let me know down below in the comment section, do you think there is any chance in the world that Aji Shapiro could beat out Darnell Wright for the starting right tackle spot? I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Darnell Wright is going to be safe at right tackle, and I think Aji Shapiro could possibly compete and possibly be even the starting left tackle as soon as this year for the Chicago Bears. I'm definitely excited to see the competition across the roster, and once again, huge shout out to Ryan Poles bringing in the right players to create that healthy competition. And then once again, huge shout out to Ben Johnson as well for creating that new healthy culture of everyone competing at such a high level. And I can't wait to see on how that translates at mandatory OTAs and obviously later this summer at training camp as well. But Bears fans, before I let you guys go, I also want to give you guys a quick little update on some NFC North news as well. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but there was an unexpected move from the Detroit Lions where their all-pro center, Frank Ragnow, decided to hang up the cleats and retire. That's obviously big news for the Detroit Lions, big news for the Chicago Bears as well. When you're looking at a team like the Detroit Lions, they still have a very talented roster, but when you look at all the pieces that they have lost and their coaching staff and Ben Johnson, their defensive coordinator, now obviously losing some players as well, and some other coaches they've lost as well, losing some coaches to the Chicago Bears with Ben Johnson, as we all know. Does that mean the door kind of opens up in NFC North? It possibly could mean that. Losing a guy like Frank Ragnow could be a huge loss for the Detroit Lions, but we have to see how that plays out. But once again, I think it's going to be a definite shift for the Detroit Lions. Not saying they're not going to be a good football team, but definitely a shift's going to have to take place there in Detroit if they want to repeat as the NFC North champions. But Bears fans, before I let you guys go, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.